On this episode of China Uncensored, Django Rechained. Django, have you always been alone? Django,
The day is silent.
made slave-owning plantation owners cower in fear, and now it seems Chinese censors are doing the same. Maybe it's because the movie had enough blood to fill up a Chinese river. Maybe it was the message of the oppressed throwing off their shackles and killing those who oppressed them. Whatever the reason, Django Unchained was mysteriously pulled from Chinese theaters on its opening day. It's weird because it's not like the censors didn't know what the movie was. They had already edited it. Blood was made a darker shade and some of the splatter was cut, but other than that, the movie was left basically intact and heavily promoted. Then, on the day of its debut, theaters were told there were technical issues and it was pulled. There is no movie rating system in China, so children can attend basically any movie. It's up to the censors to take Western movies and make them suitable for general audiences. And while on paper that means removing graphic images of violence or nudity, it also often means deleting anything current regime leaders might consider politically sensitive. Did that happen to Django Unchained? Hard to tell, but China's massive market of bootlegs is probably churning out the DVD by the pound. China is the fastest growing movie market, but it's also a tad restrictive. Brad Pitt still isn't even allowed in China because he was in a movie about to bet. So rather than getting their movies banned or censored, Hollywood has preferred to take the initiative and accommodate Chinese tastes. And by Chinese tastes, I mean the censors. And by the censors, I mean the whims of party leaders. So for example, Brad Pitt, again already on the bad side of the Chinese regime, has been trying to get World War Z, a movie about a zombie apocalypse, in theaters for years. In the movie, the source of the zombie infection is China, and Brad Pitt's character compares it to the outbreak of SARS, which the Chinese regime had tried to cover up until the bodies piled up a little too high for that. Now, if you want a movie to make millions in China, you don't say the end of the world begins in China. So he made a Chinese version where it begins in Moscow, and it was discovered by a Chinese scientist. Iron Man 3 also got a Chinese rewrite. It's distributed in China by Beijing-based DMG Entertainment, which said it was a co-producer, but Disney released a statement that said no, they weren't. But there's also a whole extra scene in Beijing where some famous Chinese actress makes a guest appearance. Wow, I think she should be a mandatory part of every movie. Alright, that wraps up this episode of China Uncensored. You can follow me on Twitter or like China Uncensored on Facebook for more. And as always, be sure to comment below and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Once again, I'm Chappell. See you next time.